we want to start at 12 and remain consistent with that revolutionary value which has characterized the ANC throughout its existence, even during the most difficult of the times when it was persecuting the revolutionary struggle. Colleagues, what you are seeing in front of you is the Provincial Secretary of the ANC, Comrade DLA, popularly known as the PS, Riba, who's going to take us through the media statement of the ANC. The Secretary will go through that statement, and then I will open for clarity-seeking questions. Don't worry, the Secretary is more than capable. Media statement is a framework of the issues that we have engaged about over a period of about 2 PECs, including the famous, the special PwC, you know. So any other issue that pertains to the ANC in the province, the leadership of the ANC in this province, will be responded to. Except that don't ask us about issues of government. That CFO is corrupt, that, and so on and so on. That Nobala will still answer, but we will obviously be limited. Nobala, I'm doing this deliberately because I'm reminded this is your first media briefing that you are addressing journalists in this manner. And in front of you, I want to promise them that it's going to be a culture. You are going to see Nobala more often, especially as we move towards the real revolution, which is the local government election. But quite importantly, the Secretary is going to reflect the spirit of the leadership in the province. We want government that responds to challenges facing our people. So if you allow me, if you are ready, if you're okay, I want to present the Secretary to then take us through the media statement. Thank you very much, Modi.
No, thanks the spokesperson of the ANC in the province, Comrade Meko, and greetings to ladies and gentlemen of the media. Like it has been indicated by the spokesperson here, the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC had the back-to-back PEC meetings starting from last week Monday, adjourned, and ultimately convened the last meeting in the form of a special meeting to consider specific matters of concern in as far as governance is concerned yesterday. And we are about to give account of the outcome of the PEC meeting, its decisions of resolutions as they pertain to the work of the Provincial Executive Committee in between its meetings. The African National Congress has been discussing the perils of organizational decay as a result of, amongst others, leadership failures, the sins of incumbency, corruption, and lack of consequence management for a considerable period of time. And the political price of these perils had resulted in the disarticulation of the National Democratic Revolution and the liquidation of the democratic dividends with a disproportionate impact on the poor and the marginalized. The provincial leadership of the ANC in the province had in the recent past extensively examined the task of strengthening accountability, clean governance, an acceleration of service delivery within the province, and as such, came to a conclusion that for these objectives to be realized, 3 conditions must be met. The first one being a resilient, courageous, and principled leadership. The second one, a committed, conscious leadership, as well as active civil society that is consciously mobilized. And ultimately, this analogy is therefore presented within the context of the renewal of our movement in pursuing its objectives, and it should be understood as part of the broader amalgamation of factors that informs the turnaround, especially of the state of local government in our province. We therefore argue that the movement should invest time and intellectual resources in conducting this intense and critical self-reflection regarding the devastating electoral defeat we suffered during the 2024 provincial and national elections. And these electoral misfortunes must be understood that they are also not as a result of the exponential growth of the opposition parties, but more of an indication of the state of our movement and its alliance partners, as well as its track record in government. It is common cause that if we don't address service delivery failures in municipalities that we govern, which are dominated by under-expenditure, irregular expenditure, poor maintenance of crucial infrastructure, the appointment of either unqualified or underqualified personnel, collapse of troikas, and the blurring of executive vis-a-vis administrative interface, which all serves to undermine the performance of the ANC-led municipalities, we will experience even more calamitous situations than we experienced previously. Informed by this context articulated above, the PEC met on the 11th of August in its ordinary meeting to consider the work that has been done flowing from previous meetings, and key amongst its deliberations were to update ourselves on the pilgrimage which was undertaken across the province to assess mainly the state of the organization and governance. And during the course of its work, the PC officials also met with its alliance partners in the form of SAMU and SANCO to address some of the challenges that exist between and amongst these partners. The PEC also had an extensive discussion about the state of governance, both at provincial and local government level, informed by the said road shows undertaken in the last 2 months, which its observations were complemented by the expose during the Joint Portfolio Committee on Local Government visit in our province. A decisive call was made to urgently intervene and address the tipping challenges that were laid bare in public during this visit. With time like a frog in a boiling water, we realized late that the ground is shifting, and as such, a decisive, audacious, and courageous leadership needs to be invoked. For if we procrastinate, the consequences thereof will be dire for the movement. Learning from the word of Samuel Jackson, I quote, that the chains of habit are too weak to be felt up until they are strong to be broken. And this meeting of the PEC, on the basis of this injunction, took decisive decisions to harness the situation. And therefore, There are key decisions that were taken in terms of the work that has been undertaken, both by the officials of the PEC, the PwC, as well as the entirety of the provincial leadership of the ANC in the province. One, a decision to establish and reconfigure organizational constitutional structures was taken in the form of branches. This is because there's no organization without the foundation, and in this instance, the branches of the ANC. And in the last 3 weeks, the PEC leadership crisscrossed the province to re-establish branches where they were non-existent and reconfigure those whose mandate has lapsed to ensure that there are legitimate structures to execute political work of the ANC in the province and intensify our connection with the masses on the ground. The second issue related to the preparations that are underway in as far as the Nala by-election is concerned. The PC considered the report on the preparation of the by-elections in Nala and acknowledged the work that is being done, guided by the REC of Leisure Puja, together with our provincial elections team. And as such, a positive feedback has been received in terms of the prospects of victory by the ANC in that part of the province. The third decision was with regard to the roadmap of both Mangaung and Lejoleputswa regional conferences. The PC received a report on the roadmap towards the regional conferences of both Mangaung and Lejoleputswa regions, which is scheduled later this year. And all necessary administrative processes are in motion, and the PC deployees have been directed to give proper support and guidance for the successful convening of such conferences. Another issue that we considered was a report on the step aside of one councillor from Maluta Pofung who's facing some legal challenges by the name of Comrade Mary Crockett. And we also appreciate the initiative of voluntary stepping aside by this comrade in line with the step-aside rule of the ANC up until her issues are dealt with. We also consider the report from the NEC, which acknowledged the progress that is in motion, amongst others, in terms of the preparation of the National General Council, which will be held at the end of this year, which expects provinces to participate, a political school of some sort that will also assess the midterm work of the National Executive Committee. Like I've indicated, we had some engagements with both our alliance partners in the form of SANCO and an affiliate of COSATU in the form of SAMU. The PC received the report in as far as the interaction of both these formations, and they were represented by their office bearers to discuss the issues of relationship and how we can weave our relationship with these partners in the province. Furthermore, we also discussed the issues that concerns governance in general. Out of the said discussions, the efficiency of Secretariat Alliance was discussed, and out of that, as I've indicated, an emphasis was that the Alliance Secretariat would have to be empowered to ensure that it processes issues for the benefit of the entirety of the Alliance partners, where ultimately the Alliance Summit would have to be convened mid-September. And the ANC in the province directs its subsidiary structures in the form of the regional executive committees to work hand in hand with other alliance partners at regional level. When it comes to local government issues, key issues that relates to our own visit to caucuses, municipalities, and to structures of the ANC on the ground. And like I've indicated, complemented by the report of the Legislature and Governance Subcommittee in the province. A report was adopted flowing from the Provincial Working Committee with far-reaching and urgent recommendations around interventions to harness the situation that obtains in municipalities. And the PEC resolved that there will be priority municipalities that will be affected as a result of the reports. And these municipalities are Mafube, Mutaka, Lizemeng, Nketwana, Nala, Leputswa District Municipality. These are as a result, the intervention is as a result of persistent disclaimers in terms of the Asia reports, weak leadership and poor governance that undermines service delivery, including allegations of corruption in those municipalities. The decision of the PEC is to redeploy comrades who are affected in these municipalities, especially at Troika level. There will be a pronouncement by the Provincial Working Committee as a consequence of the directive from the PEC for the implementation of that decision of redeployment of comrades who are affected in these municipalities. The provincial COCTA also is expected to take action where there are allegations of corruption and malfeasance, and if needs be, through Section 106, every information should be extracted to ensure that there is clarity in terms of this intervention. The PEC also agreed that in the next coming 3 months, positions must be filled of senior managers with competent and ethical professionals. When it comes to monitoring, evaluation and oversight of the ANC and its deployees and institutions where we govern, the war room and monitoring and evaluation mechanisms would be strengthened to track implementation of ANC resolutions, government programs, and where there are unfinished infrastructure programs, those would have to be revisited and addressed. The PEC has also directed all deployees, both in provincial and local government sphere, to focus on the institution of previously held 2021-2024 manifesto commitments, the ANC January 8 statement priorities, as well as the ANC provincial Lekgotla injunctions. And they would specifically be expected to focus on the following: water and electricity security, pothole eradication, job creation where possible, and in the main, promotion of township economy targeting the SMMEs. As you all know, there was a court judgment in as far as Moate municipality is concerned. The PEC noted the court findings against this municipality and resolved that a forum between national intervention and local government committee of the ANC, our LNG subcommittee, SALGA, the Premier's office and the MEC COCTA must sit around the table and advise each other and ultimately submit their proposition to the ANC for a decision to be taken as far as this matter is concerned. We also discussed the issue of accountability and ethical leadership as the ANC. We understood that the role of the ANC as a leading transformatory institution can only be achieved when it is successfully transformed, it has successfully transformed itself and renewed itself to be a responsive, modernized, well-governed, well-resourced, caring and effective political formation in the hands of the people. The ANC is committed to take its members down a hard but a brutal path that leads to one thing and one thing only, which true warriors desire to achieve, which is reputation. And as such, going back to its ethical and moral authority needs to be demonstrated in what we do publicly. The ANC, in terms of the renewal trajectory, is undertaking, is responding to the question of how to unlearn the wrong things that we have learned over a period of time. And that will only be achieved through the renewal project, which we can also indicate that there are some green shoots in terms of how it is unfolding. We also discussed the issue of restoring the public trust as the ANC leadership in the province. And as such, we intending to convene a cadres assembly to ensure that the political clarity, accountability, and all that needs to be explained to our comrades is undertaken, specifically with interaction to our structures and communities at large. A proactive communication program will be launched to highlight progress and ensure that communities appreciate and hear our decisions, and ultimately, the ANC itself explaining all what it stands for in terms of its objectives so that it is not distorted and there is no falsehood about its own objectives. And in conclusion, the ANC Free State recognizes that the failures of municipalities are, as we understand it, the collective leadership failures of both political and administrative components. And therefore, the PEC has resolved to act with urgency, with fairness and decisiveness to correct all the mistakes that have been identified. And in the process, restore credibility, renew the trust of our people as we approach the 2026 local government elections. We reaffirm that the ANC is committed to leading with integrity, ensuring clean governance, and delivering on the promises we have made during the 2021 and 2024 election manifesto. The time for decisive action is now and not any other time. Thank you.
I thought he'll clap hands. I know Nopala that the people of media are not fond of clapping hands. They normally clap hands after their questions are responded to. Colleagues, thank you very much. This is a collective view of the leadership of the ANC in the province of the Free State. Decisions have been taken, implementation is going to be processed. It's guided by the ANC constitution, guided by the ANC resolutions, guided by the revolutionary values that the ANC espouses in the implementation of these resolutions. Now, is there any other issue that you want clarity about? I'm noting Mayor Pumelela from SABC. Please forgive me, I forgot your name. You'll introduce yourself. But I know you are from the Journal.
The Journal.
Journal, wonderful. Any other? Let's hope you'll provoke others. Majority of the colleagues here, I know, my church, they like to be provoked. May I permit questions to the Secretary of the ANC in the province?
Thank you so much. I'm from SABC News. My question is on these municipalities that the decision of redeployment has been undertaken. Just want clarity, therefore. You are saying that you have decided that there will be a troika level of redeployment. Does it mean in every municipalities that you have announced, there will be a focus on the troika? Are they all going? Are they all going to be redeployed? And you are talking about you will implement that you will communicate the implementation at a later stage. So is this on the pipelines, or as a journalist I can write and say the troika in these 6 mentioned municipalities have been or are being redeployed? I want clarity on that. On Wate, you didn't dwell so much. We do know of the outcome of the latest High Court judgment. And why is there any reason Wate is not part of this municipality, as we do know that it's also amongst those worst performing municipalities? I'll end there for now.
Thank you. May I please introduce yourself once again?
My
Your
name is
institution.
Thank you. My name is Abigail Vasaki from the Journal News. So this question is to the Provincial Secretary. It has recently come to our attention that the Harib, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing it, region is facing serious challenges with members of the REC for the disbandment of the regional leadership due to its failure to convene its REC and RWC meetings, since they only said twice in the past 12 months. It is also alleged that 13 of the REC members signed and submitted a petition demanding urgent intervention in May, following by one of the REC members, Lang, or something like that. So they wrote a letter to you at the RS last week expressing the same concerns, that despite REC and RWC not meeting, resolution and decisions are being taken and submitted to the PEC and ANC caucus in municipalities as if they were taken by the REC. Are you aware of this? And then my second question would then obviously be, I know you mentioned that we cannot speak about government matters. However, can we please, or can the ANC itself please address the ANC officials that were recently in a car accident in regards to government and state cars? Thank you.
Any other? Bala, responses?
No, the SABC, indeed the focus would be on the leadership of these municipalities. You must remember Troika is the holy trinity in municipalities. Your mayor, your speaker, your chief whip. Those are the people who are directed to play oversight over either the executive and the administration. So their failure to execute their mandates and responsibilities, as even per the legislation, has necessitated that they would not be able to turn things around if these committees are still part and parcel of those who will occupy such leadership responsibilities. And that is the reason why we have said there will be a redeployment. And the ANC is a process-orientated organization. We will not just take decisions arbitrarily on the people and never consult them. We have to consult the comrades, inform them about the decision of the PEC, and when we implement, there must be a collective ownership of the decision of the party, of the ANC, so that there is no misconception of paging or victimization of comrades. The issue of Ngwate, why Ngwate not part of that? You will recall that the decision of Ngwate to be taken to court was as a result of AfriForum. We don't take AfriForum serious as the ANC because they constitute part of the counter-revolution in our country, and as such, these are the people who are against transformation. If you can go to Ngwate, despite the fact that they have been having some challenges in as far as service delivery is concerned, which are issues that are historical. So there has been a serious turnaround in terms of provision of basic services and the stability, both political and administrative stability in that institution. In the past, there was not even one single senior manager in that institution. As we speak, all vacancies at the level of senior management have been filled, and there is a serious progress in terms of the provision of services in that institution. So the reason why there's no decision for now is because of the improvements that we can be able to record for all to see in what. And we know the opposition wants to make it a political issue. So we are focused, we are determined to give places where the need arise. And Ngwate is one of those municipalities that we can say they have risen from the ashes of destruction as a consequence of what used to happen in that municipality. And as I've said, there's progress in terms of what obtains in Ngwate currently. Nefisachi, the issue of Harib. I have not received a formal communication from the secretary of the region. I don't entertain, the provincial executive committee of the NC will not just entertain the misgivings of individuals who are expected to be solution providers when there are challenges in an institution or in a committee that they serve in. So I've just seen some media statements which have not been brought to my attention officially, so that we can be able to respond. Now, there are provincial executive committee deployees in that region. They have not submitted a report of dysfunctionality of the regional executive committee of Harib. So we are not going to entertain things that maybe I would call it discipline comrades will then begin to want to bring the organization into disrepute. I think that is an act of indiscipline on the basis of the complaint that you have referred to, and I still have to have some interaction with the complaints and understand what are the issues. The issue of the official having in the media, I've seen the statement that says the ANC members. The chief whip, Comrade Nickel, is the chief whip of a municipality. In his capacity, he has the right, in terms of the privileges of municipal councillors, to have a designated car for him to do his work. So it can't be, we can't misdirect ourselves to say it is ANC members. When he was there in his capacity as the chief whip of council, executing his own responsibility, and ultimately there was that accident. So all the questions that the media would want to know must be directed to government, the Mangaung municipality, because that is the terrain of government, not the terrain of the ANC. So we must not mix issues and say we divorce Comrade Nikelo from the responsibility he has in government as the chief whip, which gives him the authority for him to have a car provided for by that institution. No, I have answered.
Are you happy? Oh, Is it a follow-up again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but we're under siege by the ladies today. Let me start with a new question and then the follow-ups by these two powerful women in our midst.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gabo. My name is Olorato Mongale. I'm from Olorato. Dr. Poleliso, I think you didn't answer our question. That case, Olorato is a regional secretary of the regional secretary of the ANC in Mongale. He was involved in the accident. So we want to know is that Deputy waiting for the municipality or is a regional administrator because he was in the car. And he's not waiting for the government. Thank you.
Thank you. Pumelela.
Okay, it's a follow-up question on the municipalities. The reasons that are said here to take such decisions on the said municipalities are quite in the public domain for all the municipalities, if not, yes, all the municipalities of the province, where there's irregular expenditure, the issue of allegations of corruption, and the political interference here and there. We saw on the Ages report. One would be interested to know why is Masilo Nyana not part of these municipalities, Maluti Apofu, Machabeng, where the Ages report has red flagged the municipalities that I've said. Secondly, there is a pending case at Nala municipality, a case of an electoral court case that is pending. What if the outcomes, therefore, they favor the people that took you to court? We do know that you are expecting the by-elections there. What's going to happen? Thank you.
Mama?
Thank you. It's for you, spokesperson. One question is for you. You mentioned that we are now moving towards the new revolution for the local government elections. What change do you think we are going to see coming 2026? And then also, I just recently discovered, as in this meeting, the troika that you were referring to means those three, mayor, chief of, and so on. I did not know that. So now, my question is intertwined with the Ingetwana Mayor, Mamiki Mukwena, who has been in absentia. There has been controversies in regards to the fact that she did not nominate an acting mayor. However, spokesperson then said Kuka Mvuke was nominated. My question then is, since she is mentioned in those municipalities that will be now redeployed and so forth, is this a ploy or play? She's supposed to be returning month end of this month. Will she be returning or are we looking at redeployment now? Thank you.
Okay, are we done?
Yeah.
Let's give the secretary. You can respond to that question.
No, the issue of if indeed Commissar Lopito was part of those who were involved in an accident, I would have expected you to say there's a policy, the municipal policy that bars that executive member who is the chief whip, who has the authority to have the car. There is a policy that says he cannot have any person in the car whom he or she is traveling with. So in the absence of that, you can't even come and say it was wrong for somebody to be part of the whatever trip which was taken, if indeed there was in a trip, and we can't isolate the person who has the right to use the municipal car and isolate it with those who might have been traveling with him in whatever rationale it gives to anybody. So, if in the absence of a policy, you can't claim that Sabelo was not supposed to be part of that car, and you need you want to scratch the surface as to why was he part of the trip. They have their own reasons as to why he was part of the trip. And then the issue of Mayor Apumelele. it might have been an oversight. Masilonyana is part of the municipalities that are affected. It is there. Malutiapofu, we are also trying to look into how we can be able to beef up the political leadership of that institution. Remember, the ANC is not leading that municipality. We are in a coalition with a lot of other coalition partners. So we need to stabilize the ANC component. And for now, there is improvement in terms of the working relationship that did not exist between the mayor and the speaker in that institution. So there will be progress that way. We are monitoring it as things unfold. The pending electoral case, if you read the response from the administrator in the electoral court, the indication was that that case might even be concluded without the parties making a physical presentation in court. So my belief is that that might be concluded even on the strength of the arguments that we have put in place. That might be concluded, and I suspect the time lapse for dealing with such matters gives me some courage that that contestation by the affected person would fall by the wayside, and hence the processes are unfolding. If the court decides otherwise, we'll then have to readjust ourselves and do what is necessary for us to proceed. The issue of Mamiki Mkwen, she will be affected in the manner that we have explained. Whether she is on leave or she is not on leave, when a decision is implemented, that decision will be implemented to the LAD redeployment. Thank you.
You look like you are satisfied by the media statement as it relates to its content and the responses to your questions. If that is the case, I'm going to request that we prepare ourselves for the next media briefing, and we prepare now for that future, because the ANC utilizes this opportunity to be able to talk to its people outside through the media statement of the secretary and the responses that we provide as we ask these questions. So thank you very much till we meet again. Thank you for coming. The ANC doesn't take it for granted. We really appreciate it. The Provincial Secretary of the ANC speaks on behalf of the entire ANC in the province. Don't go and ask anybody else about the issues here. What will hold is what he read and what he has responded to. Thank you.